What's the best piece of advice you've received in real estate?
It actually didn't come directly from like a real estate, advisor or anyone in real estate. It came from a book called Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. And he pretty much said that if you have a business that depends on you, you don't have a business, you have a job, and your boss is a psychopath. Because if you feel like you need to control everything and be in every aspect of the business at all times, you're it's going to be next to impossible to grow.
Yeah, that's so true and such a splash of cold water for most of us listening who go, but I do just about everything myself too. So we'll talk about that in a bit. What's the worst piece of advice you ever got?
If you want to grow your team or grow your business, just hire more agents. Just keep hiring people. Just bring people in.
Yeah,
That.
you don't even need to explain that further because anyone who has tried that or attempted just to add fresh, warm bodies
Mm-hmm.
will learn very quickly that that is usually not the best course of action
Right.
unless that's the plan. If the plan is just
Right.
getting warm bodies in the door, and there are models that maybe support that, but for most agents, that is not a great plan, and one that almost all team leads have learned at some point is, oh, hiring's like much more difficult than
Right.
yeah. I
Right.
love that.
Yep.
Well, this is we're going to have a lot of fun today because my guest today is Lauren Duke. She is a top real estate coach from Core Ops Collective, and you can find her on coreopscollective.com. Also, follow her on Instagram, which is also Core Ops Collective. We'll have a link to both of those in the show notes. But let me tell you more about Lauren. So, Lauren Duke is the former COO of a top 10 mega real estate team, where she helped close to over 3,000 transactions. She recruited and trained more than 150 agents and launched 21 expansion locations across the United States. Those years taught her exactly what it takes to scale in this industry and what breaks along the way. Today, as the founder and CEO of Core Ops Collective, she helps real estate agents replace survival mode with structure through one-to-one coaching and operational development, and her strategy to scale program. Now, Core Ops is redefining what a successful real estate business looks like, one built on systems, standards, and sustainability. Now, we don't hear that a lot in one-to-one coaching. So I'm glad we are talking to Lauren today. Again, coreopscollective.com is where you go to learn about all things Lauren. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am really excited to chat with you because you have done it all. But let's go all the way back to the beginning. So, how did you get into real estate?
So I was a military spouse, and we had moved from Italy to Tennessee. And when we did that, I had a 9-month-old baby. I You couldn't have a job when you were in Italy. It was against like our American agreement to be there, whatever. And so I was previously a hairdresser, was illegally doing hair out of my house, right? But when we moved back, I was like, hey, I do not want to have like a typical job where I have to leave my newborn, my son, he was 8 months old. So I started looking into some options and started building up a virtual assistant business. And that led to, a friend seeing a post on Facebook saying, hey, I have a real estate agent who's looking for a transaction coordinator. And I did a quick Google and I was like, how hard could this be? Like, surely I could figure this out, right? And I did. I didn't even have an interview or anything. It was just like, oh, you know how to read? Let's do this, right? And we did it. I started as a TC, was like sweating bullets, pressing send on an email for
Sure.
forever. And then it kind of came to fruition that the agent wanted to start a team, and not only did she want to start a team, but she wanted to have all of these expansion locations and whatnot. And I am one of the most figure it out people, and so that's what we did. We figured it out. We started in one location with 4 agents, and I think by the time I was there for 2 months, we had one other location open with probably double that amount of agents.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I am a real estate recruiter, so all I do is recruit agents for our firm. And I will tell you, even growing that number of agents that quickly with a couple locations, that is
Mhm.
remarkable. I know how hard it is for me full time to recruit, 100 plus agents a year, and that's literally all I do. But you were doing more than just recruiting. You were also doing all of the opening of offices and doing all the structure and the
Yeah, yeah,
operations and everything.
yeah,
So,
admin side of it as well. It
wow.
was, if you wanna know what not to do, that's what we'll talk about.
Yeah, and so you did that and then continued to grow the expansions. You guys had over 20 expansions,
Mhm.
and then tell us sort of how you went from that to what you're doing now with coaching.
Yeah, so, we got to a point where the team was very large, and I kind of had a little bit of a reset where I realized, like, "Hey, this isn't really what I'm meant to be doing." My values started to, not align anymore with the teams, and it kind of was just going in a different direction than I wanted to go with my life. So,
Yep.
I actually I had my third child at the time, and I was 8 weeks postpartum and said, "This isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to go start our own business." Me, like we, as in me and this little baby. We're going to go start our own business. And, you know, there's got to be more to all of this knowledge that I have. It shouldn't be so hard for agents to grow their business. Let's figure out how to help them.
Well, you must have seen so many agents have success and then others not have success.
Mhm.
And, also understanding what it takes to scale up a team, not just individuals scaling them up, but also how do you get them together and working together? And that's a whole nother skill set, which we're going to get into. So you have this really wide berth of sort of information and knowledge, which it's kind of similar to what I've done here,
Mhm.
which although I haven't done really a lot with oh, that's not true. We have done expansions and opened up other lines of business. But I will tell you, it is amazing. I look back, I've been doing this 14 years now, and I think about I now I don't think I will ever open a coaching company because I
Mhm.
don't think that's the path for me. But what I do know is with this podcast and with just being around hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really over several thousand agents now over all this time, it I kind of know what they need to be doing. And
Right.
I've talked to enough successful agents and I've seen enough agents fail, and where I know like, okay, I think I could do it. But thankfully, like I'm happy where I'm at. I haven't yet
Yeah.
outgrown this and I don't think I ever will. But you did. And you said, hey, this I want to go a different way and I want to give back in a different way. And I love that you're working one to one because that is, boy, we have over 700 agents here, and one to one is great. It's
It
a
is
lot
great.
easier,
Yeah.
and not so much easier, but less complicated. And you can really give those individuals that attention that they're probably not getting even from their own brokerage. So I love the fact that you're coming in and introducing accountability and systems and operations and some of these things that really you can't be good at everything individually. And you talked about that as, sort of the worst piece of advice, or the best piece of advice was don't try to
Mhm.
do it all yourself. And so getting a coach, I think there's almost every top agent I have on the show has a coach. In fact, they probably all do. I don't always ask the question, but I'd be shocked if anyone didn't.
Yeah.
So it is something, and I've had over 700 episodes here. I've talked to lots of the top agents in the country, and they all say that they have coaches. So I love the fact that you're doing this. Let's talk about coaching itself. So right now, I think is a particularly interesting time in the market for agents. You have uh, well, actually, lending rates have come down recently in the last week or two, but they're still much higher than they were years before. But they were at historic lows at that time, so
Right. Yeah.
they're actually historically not so bad. But there's still a lot of buyers that are kind of like, I don't know, that seems high to me. So you have buyers who are sitting on the sidelines to some degree. You also have sellers sitting on the sidelines because they don't want to give up that 3% mortgage that they
Right.
refinanced at back in 2021, 2022. So you just have a lot of, I don't have to move right now, and maybe I shouldn't. And then there's a lot of parts of the country where here in Chicago is a great example. We just don't have a ton of inventory. And so there's that kind of factoring in as well. So I know agents can get frustrated in times like these. It's not always the easiest time to grow your business or to scale up your business. But I
Mhm.
think it probably is a good time to consider building a team when maybe things aren't quite as busy. And also, you have a lot of sort of dissatisfied agents right now. Maybe their brokerage isn't giving them what they need, or their current team isn't giving them what they need, or
Yeah.
you're like an individual producer and you're like, I'm just trying to do too many things and I need some help. So let's talk about teams. So when should somebody start to think about, hey, I think I need more help, and what level do you usually start recommending that to someone?
I think that, and you're going to be like, hey, this is a cop out answer, right? But honestly, you need to know what you want
Yeah,
out of life in general in order to be able to answer that. Because if you are, let's say we have scenario A, we have agent who is, single, no kids, no like huge commitments that they have other than building their business. They may have the desire to work 60, 70 hours
sure.
a week, and that's what they like to do. If you were to ask me my like what is my hobby right now, I would be like, oh, don't ask me that because it's work. I love working, right? But I also have 3 kids. So I'm probably more on this side where like I want to not work 60, 70 hours a week,
You'd
right?
like your nights and weekends, or at least some
Right.
of them. Yeah,
Right, exactly. We have, little league baseball that we manage the team for, and I have a 2-year-old, so that's enough said. But I you have to know what you want. And before you know that, it's hard to say, oh, when you hit this level of production or when you've sold this many units.
sure.
It's when you start to realize that I'm dropping the ball in these important areas in my business because I'm so focused over here. That's really when you get to the point of, okay, I need someone to come in and not only help me manage the side that I'm dropping, but also expand on the side that I'm doing well.
Yeah, so it sounds like the first step is really to have a real serious and honest conversation, an audit of your own actions and your
Mhm.
own abilities, to sort of say, hey, what am I doing really well? Like, sort of stand metaphorically naked in front of the mirror and say, what's going really well right now, and where am I struggling? Where am I
Yeah.
just not getting things done? And that's not always easy to admit to yourself, because for a lot of us, we do so many things as individual agents that we expect ourselves to be good at everything, and we expect
Yeah.
ourselves to want to make those cold calls, or those follow-up calls, or the writing those notes, or doing the things that they say to do in every real estate how to grow your business book. And yet we can't want to do everything. And also,
Right.
like you said, maybe you have 3 kids, and maybe you're busy and you have like baseball teams to manage and school stuff to go to, and
Right.
you're like, there's so much else going on. And yeah, if you're a single person in their 20s, yeah, you have more time,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this thing of like, okay, I should be making my calls. Okay, am I? No. Do I want to? No, I don't. Okay.
Correct.
Well, you can beat yourself up for not wanting to, or we can figure a workaround. And the
Right.
workaround could be, maybe we get some help, or maybe we free up some time, right?
Or
And
maybe we find another form of lead gen that you do like doing. You know what I mean? Whatever it
I
is.
I just attended a training the other day. You would love this. And the topic was why to not lean out of your why to not step outside your comfort zone, because and it wasn't like never step outside your comfort zone, but it said
Right.
why stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't always work. And it
Yeah.
was basically because if you lean into your strengths, like you were saying, find, like, chatted with a woman just the other day, and this is a great example. She's a Buffini person. Buffini is notoriously well known, and he's wonderful and great. We
Right.
all love his coaching, for talking about Popeyes, saying like you should be stopping by in person. And she's like, that freaks me out. I love everything else I'm doing, but I don't love doing that. She's like, how do I get myself to want to do this? I was like, I don't know that you can. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's just not your thing. And you know what? If it freaks you out, that's going to show up when you show up, and it's going to freak out your clients too.
Right.
And if you
Right.
think you're bothering them, then you're bothering them. So
Yeah.
don't do that. And it's not one size fits all. So you're absolutely right. It's this doing this audit, I think, of saying, what's going well, where am I struggling? And if I'm being totally honest, what am I just not getting myself to do or to do well? And that's where a coach can really step in and say, I noticed this thing. Let's talk about it and
Yeah.
let's come up
Yeah.
with systems.
We we actually call it a time audit, where we have our clients, one of the very first things that they do is, like we describe it as, when you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I just want to lose a little bit of weight. And they're like, okay, write down every single thing that you eat for a week.
Yes.
We ask you to do that. Write
Well,
down every
by the
single
way,
thing.
isn't that a humbling experience to either do the food version of that with the doctor where you're
Oh,
like,
for
"Oh my
sure.
god, I did not know I was eating all of this all throughout the week." And this version of this for what you're talking about is I didn't realize I was spending my time doing all of these activities that as I look at it now maybe weren't the best utilization of
Right.
my time. Yeah.
Because even just the accountability piece of, you know, you have to tell someone that you're doing that, right? Like if I have to write down that I went and scrolled on Facebook for 30 minutes last
Right.
night instead of doing whatever it was that I was supposed to be doing, like I don't want to write that down.
Sure.
Just like you don't want to write down, oh, I don't know why I'm losing weight. Well, did you had 5 chocolate truffles this
Right.
morning?
Right.
Oh,
Right, and if you get to the I don't know why I'm not losing weight, and I look at my food audit and it looks really reasonable, then it's time for me to go to the doctor because there may be something else going on that is hormonal or whatever. And this is a great example too that when we're doing our time audits, we do have to be honest. We do have
right.
to say, I did scroll on Facebook and I wasn't really prospecting. I was just kind of absorbing content and
Yeah.
a little of that's okay, sure, but
Right.
oh my
We all
gosh,
got to do it. We all have to be potatoes sometimes, you know?
for sure. And we all have to know what's an appropriate amount of that and where are we escaping some of our responsibilities. And we all do it. It's just human nature. It's okay. We can admit it. I do it, you do it. We all veg out in ways where we shouldn't. That is unhealthy. But the first step is the honesty piece is to go, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm imperfect. I'm a human.
Yeah.
I don't always do everything. And so doing that time audit is critical. And then also getting someone else to look at it and say, I work with successful agents. I know what their time audits look like. And we can give you some suggestions here. Like we can figure this out for you.
Right.
Like you don't
Because
have
if
to
you're
figure it all out yourself.
Yeah, if you're going and saying, I'm lead generating for 6 hours every day and I'm making cold calls and I'm doing this and I'm, doing all of these things, but I can't get a lead. If you are lead generating for 6 hours a day
Right.
and you can't get a lead, that's a conversion problem. That's a conversation problem. Like that's not a time problem. Or you're not being honest because I also
Right.
don't believe you.
Yeah, no, that's a
um,
great point. We have skills, and that's another thing that we don't think about as much is like how do I increase my skills? Like
mhm,
not just how do I increase the time I put in because you're right. I run into this too where I just think oh it's just time, and if I just put the time in, I'm going to have the success. And maybe if my
right.
skill levels to the appropriate degree, but what if I also increased my skill along the way, and then it wouldn't probably take me as much time, right? So there's that like skill piece where
Yeah.
you can come in and say, let's figure out because I know other agents do this in a much shorter time frame. So let's figure out how we can get you skilled up or
Yeah, we
or
actually just had this conversation with my 8-year-old last night. We were like, hey, if you want to be really good on rookies, right? Like you have to, we're going to go outside and practice for 20 minutes a day. And he's going through the motions and he's swinging the bat with just his wrists. And he's like, not even trying to catch the ball. That's not going to work. You're not going to improve
right.
if you're just wasting the time there. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and so once we've done this sort of audit of our business, especially things like our time, our actions,
Mhm.
and our also well, first knowing your why, which is kind of the most important thing you mentioned, is sort of knowing what do you want, like what do
Yeah.
you want your business to look like, what do you want your family life to look like, what do you want your social life and other things, and sort of figuring that out, and then going, okay, how am I spending my time? Okay, there's some opportunities for improvement here, or maybe it's a skill improvement or time improvement or whatever, or just strategy improvement, then it's okay. Now we need to get some fresh eyes on this and help generate some ideas because the brain that got me to this point probably isn't the same brain that's going to get me to the next level without some help.
Right.
Yeah. So I think by now at this point, if somebody's going, okay, I've done the audit, I need some help on this stuff. That's when we can start talking about building a team. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean I now have other agents I'm working with, right?
Right.
Teams, as you know, as you talk about this a lot, teams could be, hey, I have a transaction coordinator. I have somebody doing the paperwork for me
Yep.
that is technically a teammate, but I'm still the rainmaker. I'm still doing,
You
the
just
business.
mean support, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We have the 5 pillars of business, right? And there is your lead gen and marketing. There is your operations, your financials, your client experience, and then team. Team doesn't have to be an actual like traditional team where you have a buyer, multiple buyers agents and listing agents and all of that. It could quite literally just mean your very part-time admin that does your social media graphics,
Yeah.
you know?
It could also mean your partner's vendors. It could be
Yeah,
the divorce attorney who you are constantly recommending to clients who are going through that challenge, and also who is recommending you when
yeah,
somebody's going through that difficult time to say, I have a great real estate agent who really understands, what people are going through in this scenario. And your financial advisor that you're sending business to, your insurance agent, your accountant.
yep,
There's lots of people that can be considered the teammates that you're passing stuff over to and from,
yeah,
and they can help lead generate for you. And how cool is
yeah.
that?
I have a
So
client who her title company actually does her mailers and her pop buys and everything like that. So that's
absolutely.
part of the team.
Yeah, that is, we have a title agency here. So I'm a part owner in that. And I will tell you, it is so rare when an agent reaches out to us and says, "Hey, I'm going to do all my business through you guys, or I'm going to do some of my business. Can we do a marketing share on like a mailer?" We
Mhm,
we almost never, lenders get asked that. Just people often think, "Well, I'm going to ask my lender," and that's great too. But
mhm.
I'm a title company owner. I would know, people are not asking me for that,
Yeah,
and we would love to put money into that because it's going to generate business for us.
yep,
So you're right. So teammates can look all sorts of. So we're kind of like changing kind of the paradigm of what we're thinking about with a team. It doesn't have to mean other agents just yet. And it could mean just these peripheral characters that either are part-time that you're paying, or the people that you're transferring value back and forth.
right,
And yeah, I love that.
yeah,
So let's also talk about, I do want to talk about hiring though. So yes, we know that we can bring in transaction
mhm,
coordinators, we can bring in virtual assistants, we can bring in some of these other players, lenders, to really help us. And those are great. And I think that those are so underutilized, but we often jump to, okay, when I want to actually hire another agent, you've hired a lot of agents. So I just want to ask, as somebody, if they are at that level where they're like, okay, no, I really do need like another either full-time
a
agent
showing
or,
assistant or
yeah,
someone, yeah.
yeah, exactly. What is it that you think somebody should look for in a team member?
So what we say is far more important than skill is whether or not they are a culture fit
Yeah.
for you. And again, we're going to circle all the way back to like what do you want out of life, right? That goes into what are your core values? What do you look for in other people in order to have a good, relationship, whether that's personal or working or whatever, right? If you are going to bring someone into your business, even if they are a showing assistant, they are an extension of you. They are meeting your clients, they are talking with people, they are showing up online as you and in person as you. And so you need to know that they value the same things you do, not down to the T, right? Like we all have our, unique individuality, but like if if I were a real estate agent and I wanted a showing assistant, my core values are stability, contribution, and creativity. And if yours don't resemble mine in some way, shape, or form, we probably won't show up in the same way and have the same, like we put our client experience first. Most real estate agents value the relationship with the client over the transaction. That's what you need to look for. The skill can be taught.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Skill could be taught. And I was just thinking that this advice is so valuable, not just to people looking to build a team, but also to join a team, is to
Yeah.
understand yourself. What do I bring to the table? And not just what business building opportunities do I bring to the table? Yeah, you should have those too. But to think like, what are my values?
Mhm.
What's most important to me? Because my team lead is going to be also a representation of my work.
Yeah.
And so is it a culture fit? I know so often agents look to join teams for lead gen, and that becomes like this lifeline for them when they're like, I'm just not good at lead generation, so I'm going to join a team. And it's like, well, that's fine, and maybe that will work, but you're going to be dependent on that person if you never want to develop your lead gen skills. And if not, great. If you just want to stay that way, that's awesome. But that might not be a culture fit. That might
Right.
they might operate in a way that, you're right, is not great, but they're your lead sort of generator, and so you can't leave as easily. So people get into leads, I hear, or teams all the time. I hear it so often is, I need to get some leads. I need to find a team
Yeah.
that's giving out leads, and it's like, okay, yes, maybe, but I think you're right. The culture fit is so much more important. I mean, anyone can provide leads, really.
Yeah. And honestly, they're just looking for the silver bullet in
Yeah,
that situation.
yeah,
If you want to join a team for longevity and to be able to learn how to build a business so that maybe I don't think that it's out of the question that some people stay with teams forever, right? There definitely are those people, but a lot of times you're going to model your own business off of what that team is providing you, right? And just like we said, what do you want out of life? Sometimes that means you want to start your own. And how flattering is it to have someone come learn from you, even if it's just for, 5 years or whatever. But you want to have the same, you want to have the same values or at least similar, because you won't be showing up in any aspect of your own business or the team's business or anything as authentic.
yeah. That's a really great point. I also want to talk a little bit about scaling business, because we're talking about getting help, whether we're an individual practitioner or whether we're building a team or we're on a team. We're either part of the help, or we are looking for people to help us where we're deficient. And I don't mean deficient, not with a pejorative, just where we struggle, where
Yeah.
we're not naturally inclined to want to do parts of the
Yeah.
business. And I think a lot about scaling your business. And I want to talk a little bit about systems, I guess. And you're an operations person, you're a systems person. And let's talk about what systems you think are really helpful for agents to consider either building, or where they should audit their systems. So talk a little bit about systems.
Yeah. So I mentioned the 5 pillars before, and we actually have a course that we like provide to brokerages and big networks and things like that, and it's called the 5 systems that every agent needs and the one that they're missing. And so those 5 pillars are the client experience, lead gen and marketing, operations, financials, and oh my gosh, did I go through all 5? Hold on. Lead gen and marketing, client experience, operations, team support is the one I was missing,
Sure.
and financials. And the one that they are missing is the integration of all 5 of them. So if even one of those is, missing or loose, or you're not tracking your finances, or you don't care about what your expenses are, what your overhead is, then the others are going to be a little bit wobbly. And meaning, like, if you have all of these leads coming in but you're not tracking where those leads are coming from, you don't know the ROI
Right.
and where to pour your time and effort. Or if you don't have accountability for your team and you're giving them leads, but you're not tracking whether or not they're calling them or converting them, then you very well may be wasting money. So if you don't have the integration of all 5 pillars together, then that's the biggest system that you're missing. Now, if you wanted to get more granular within, like, what systems do you actually need set up within each pillar, I think that probably everyone will agree, if you don't have a CRM automatically nurturing your leads and a lead capture system
And
is
just reminding you when to contact clients.
right.
Yeah.
Just even somewhere where the phone numbers and emails are, like, even if you don't have a drip campaign set up, there are so many agents that come to me and they're like, oh, I just have everybody as a contact in my phone. And I'm like, what if you lose your phone or
Yeah.
you don't have it backed up to the cloud or whatever? So just having a CRM and tracking your pipeline, knowing what's coming in and out so you can make good business decisions.
Yeah, it's building those tracking mechanisms so
Mhm.
that we are not having to. It's kind of like why I bring my lunch to work every day. It's not because I'm so organized and so healthy and just like on top of things. It's because I will make a horrible decision at lunchtime if I have to make that decision in real time. I am not going to choose the healthy option, most likely, because I'll probably have some stress at that point. I'll be busy. I will just want something easy and
You'll
fast.
pop up on Uber Eats and see what can get there fastest, right?
100%.
Yeah, we all do it.
We yes, and so and look, and I'm not judging anyone for doing that. I just know that if I do that, by 2 o'clock, I'll be fast asleep
Mhm.
here at my desk because I will have eaten more than I should have, and I will eat the things that I
Well,
shouldn't
and
have.
you've learned. You've
Ye
learned that that's
I
what
am not to be trusted.
happens.
So I make my meals ahead of time. Now, it doesn't make me a genius. It just means that I'm honest about my abilities to make decisions in real time. And so, having these tracking mechanisms is so important because we can say, okay, I didn't make my lunch today, which sometimes happens. And then,
Mhm.
okay, what did I have for lunch? And how did that affect me? And maybe, oh, like I say this a lot on our show, but I have a hard time getting up at a certain time in the morning that I'd like to get up at. And I would love to say I just do it naturally, but I don't. And so I have an accountability person that calls me, and I wake up 5 minutes before she's going to have to call me because I'm so embarrassed that she would have to actually call me. And that I wake up 5 minutes beforehand and I message her. I'm like, I'm awake. I'm good. I'm good. Because that's what I need to
Yeah,
do. And it's a little like, I guess it's a little embarrassing. I'm not really embarrassed about it anymore, but I used to be, and I thought it doesn't matter. Just find a system. Be honest about
but
your
it's the same way,
capabilities.
like, I clean my house before the cleaning company
Oh, we
comes.
all do. Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, "Why do we do that?" But
yeah. We
I'm embarrassed to
if
see
we
how
all
I
just did
actually
10 minutes a
live.
day,
Right.
but we don't, and or some of us don't. And so, yeah, it's about this tracking. Like, what am I actually achieving? Not
Yeah,
in my mind. What's the fantasy of how I'm supposed to be perfect at everything? What am I actually doing and not doing? And not to have any sort of judgment around it. It's just to say, like, okay, this gets in the way and you're not naturally that skilled at this and you don't have to be because there's solutions, and a coach like you can actually help you figure out, let's get that off your plate.
right.
Let's like, you know and now it's funny, now I'm my girlfriend, who by the way is a successful attorney. Like, nobody is more responsible than my girlfriend, and nobody is smarter and like is able to just do things, and yet she struggles waking up on time. So now I call her. I actually, it's no big deal, but I actually am her accountability partner for
Yeah,
waking up. So she even needs it, and she's like the most effective person I know. So
yeah,
it's so funny. It's like, but and it took a while for her to finally. Great example of just being able to get around this judgment. She had a lot of judgment around it. She's like, no, 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 I can do it myself. And I'm like, well, maybe you can't. Like, who cares? Like,
yeah,
I don't think you're deficient. And so it's a lot of it is just this, can I accept my imperfections? And a coach is really good at saying, it's okay. Like, everybody
yeah,
struggles.
totally
Uh,
okay.
and so this is what I love. Let's talk a little bit about core ops. I want to hear about, what do you provide? What do you do for agents? And why should agents consider reaching out to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to start with, touching on systems for one more second
Sure.
because we actually have a pipeline tracker freebie on our website. So
Awesome.
I just wanted to throw that out there. It is just a free Google Sheet download. It'll take you 2 seconds, pop right in and track your stuff. You can start seeing what's coming into your business. But Core Ops, so we have a couple different programs. We have our Strategy to Scale program, where we sit down with you in VIP day format, right? We're face to face on Zoom for the whole day, and we are going through all 5 pillars of your business, and we're doing a huge audit, but also strategizing together to say, here's where you want to go with everything. This is how we're going to get there. These are the people we need. These are the roles we're going to create. These are the lead generation, downloads, magnets, whatever you want to call them. Let's set up your CRM together. Let's do all of these things that you are just sitting there beating yourself up about that you haven't gotten implemented. And so we implement it for you so that you can start growing in the direction that you want to grow. And then we also have our one-on-one coaching, and that is primarily actually for the operations person. We are firm believers that you do need that other person in order to grow to the heights that you want. And so getting your admin trained, developed to, push them into more of that managerial or, director type role of the business that you want to grow. So we have the one-on-one coaching for that. We also have our core ops community, which is actually only for operations people. And it's a place for us to learn and grow and mastermind together. And we're really redefining what the operations role looks like there, especially with, how many new AI platforms come out every other minute. We're redefining the ops role through figuring out, okay, now that we can take this off of our plate because there's this new AI that costs us 40 cents a month or whatever, we can focus on lead generating. We can focus on building out our own referral networks to bring in income and things like that. So our biggest one for agents is the Strategy to Scale VIP Day program. But our longevity is, hey, let's develop your admin over time.
I love that. And I think that's really smart because if we can develop the admin to increase their skill set and increase their efficiency, then we can really spend more time doing what we do best, which is probably bringing in business
Right.
or maintaining relationships and doing that because the same skills that are good at selling or marketing are probably the brains that are good at doing that are probably not the same brains that are super effective at operations or efficiency. And maybe they are, but a lot of us would probably say, well, I'm better at one than the other. And one comes much more naturally to me. So if I can offload that to, especially like if I'm the person who likes going out and getting business, then if I can offload some of the operations to a VC or a VA or a TC or
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, and maybe another agent even who is good at that stuff and not good at the going out and getting business stuff. And if then but then it's like, how do you train those people? Because if you don't have that skill set, you're hiring an operations person, you're hoping that they just have what you don't have.
Right.
And so that's where you come in and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to be like, well, I'm going to train you too, but I'm going to train the operations team. I want to make sure that
Right.
they know what they're doing because they need to get better and continue to grow. So I love that. I think you're the first coach I've ever had that's also talks about training the support or training the systems teams, operations teams, and that's so important. So I love that you have this holistic kind of approach where you're going to obviously work with the rainmaker, and then
Mm-hmm.
of course their all their support as well, and get them up to speed. And that boy, that just makes all the sense in the world. I suspect you have a bit of a niche there. I love that you have that, and
Yeah.
we should mention that the website Core Ops Collective has a lot of freebies. So coreopscollective.com is where you go, navigate to the freebie section. You can find that pipeline tracker that Lauren was talking about. There's a financial tracker. I'm thinking about building a team. How do I start?
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of other tools and resources here. And Lauren is really an expert at this, right? She was the COO, the operations manager of the chief operations person for one of the biggest teams in the country with hundreds of agents, thousands of transactions. And this is what most agents, I suspect, are not great at. I think you're probably drawn to being an agent more for the person to person skills, the interpersonal stuff. And maybe if that's where your natural tendency is, then you need somebody like Lauren because she's going to help fill in those gaps for those other areas. So I want everybody to visit coreopscollective.com. I also want you to follow Core Ops Collective on Instagram. Core Ops Collective is where you find that. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. We'll also have a link to Lauren's freebie section here in the description so you can get some of those resources and reach out to her, schedule a call, see she can help you figure out where you're struggling. I know for me, I need that just as much as anyone. And I sit here and I do one thing all day, which is recruiting. And even though I don't have to run an entire real estate business, I am not good at every part of recruiting. I'm just not. It's not, I don't want to say good. I'm not particularly naturally skilled at parts of recruiting. I don't like picking up the phone and making follow-up calls, but that's like the most important thing somebody should do in my role. And so I have to figure out workarounds for that. And I need coaches, and I have a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
I need to do audits of my business. And so Nicole, Lauren, thank you for reminding me. I have I have a conversation with Nicole like right after our call, so I have this Nicole name on my brain, which I apologize for. But Lauren, I need this just like everyone else, and I suspect all of our audience should think about, look, all athletes have a coach, professional athletes, the very best
Mhm.
athletes, to any other athlete. Everybody, I can't think of an athlete that doesn't have a coach. So it's
Yeah,
probably a good idea to at least have somebody take a look at your business, show you where you don't have to be perfect at an area, and do that audit and get some ideas about how to streamline that, because systems are everything. You're a systems person, Lauren, and I love that. I think most coaches aren't always systems people. They maybe they focus on other types of skill sets, but I think systems and structure and tracking is something that a lot of agents struggle with. I know it because we have hundreds of agents here at our own firm, and they struggle with it.
yeah,
Even like you said, even just using the CRM your firm probably gives you for free is something that a lot of agents just don't do. So
absolutely.
that's okay if you don't do it. Own that, acknowledge it, and then get
Mhm.
somebody like Lauren, or get Lauren directly, or somebody on her team to actually help you figure out how to set up those systems. And you're right, with AI, in particular ChatGPT and some of those other resources that are really reasonably priced, if not free.
Right.
I use ChatGPT every single day to do various things, and I actually just made a video. So if you go to our YouTube channel, I made a video with top 10 AI prompts for real estate agents that other top agents have told me they use to not just grow their business, but help with accountability and systems.
Yeah.
But what you really do need is a coach. And Lauren is a great example of that. Reach out to her. Go to coreopscollective.com. Follow her on Instagram, Coreops Collective. Lauren, on behalf of everyone here at our show, the audience, we appreciate you. We thank you for spending time with us today to talk about how agents can scale up their business, how they can think about starting or joining a team, or just auditing their own business to find opportunities for improvement. And also, on behalf of Lauren and myself, I want to thank the audience for sticking around to the end. We thank you. We thank our sponsors, and we appreciate you. Please, the best way you can help us continue to grow our show is by telling a friend. Think of another realtor that needs to hear this, which, by the way, pretty much all of them need to hear this reminder about coaching and operations. Shoot this out to them. Send this to your managing broker. They can send it out to the team, and let them know that we do these episodes every single week. And leave us a review too, whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. Let us know what you think of the show and how we can improve. And lastly, if you have an agent in your local market that you are like absolutely enamored with and you can't quite figure out how they're doing it, or maybe you don't have access to that person, reach out to me. We'll get access to them. We'll get them on the show. We'll get them interviewed, and we'll find out exactly what they're doing for you. So reach out to us. We're here to serve you. Lauren, thank you once again for being on the show, taking your time today. CoreOpsCollective.com is where you go to learn about all things operations and just auditing your business and getting a coach. So, on behalf of all of us at Keeping It Real, we will see you next time. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you so much.